What's up guys? In this video I'm going to be reviewing the new iPhone SE. This is the rose gold version. I have a 16 gigabyte model here. I've been using this thing for almost 2 weeks now and actually switched from the iPhone 6s Plus, which I also have in rose gold. You can see them there right beside each other. This was a big switch, or actually a little switch, because I went from this gigantic phone, a 5.5 inch screen, to the iPhone SE, which is a 4-inch screen. Yeah, there really is like a big difference in these phones. I mean, the iPhone SE will actually fit in the screen of the iPhone 6s Plus, so that just shows you how small it is compared to it. The iPhone 6s or 6s Plus is actually a little bit thinner than the iPhone SE. Not something you'll notice a huge difference in, but it is just a bit thinner. Now, I don't feel like I need to go super in detail with this review, just because this phone has pretty much already been out for years now. It's the same exact design as the iPhone 5 or 5s. You really can't tell a difference aside from the name and the rose gold color option, which I actually really like. This is definitely my favorite color option of all of them. Next would probably be the space gray. But yeah, the rose gold actually looks really sick on this. Probably better, I think, than the iPhone 6s Plus, just because of the design. When I first switched to this thing, it was really weird. Like, it felt super tiny, almost like it was a joke. Like, this thing seriously feels like it's a toy when you go from a 6s Plus, that gigantic screen, to this 4-inch screen. It's super small. But after using it for a bit, I feel like I did get mostly adjusted to it. The typing on it on the keyboard, just because it's so tiny, I feel like there's a lot of times I messed up typing and it was just frustrating. Like, I would get aggravated with this keyboard, where normally on my 6s Plus I wouldn't have that problem at all. That was my one issue with switching back to this. The keyboard, I can do it, but it's frustrating. If you put the phones beside each other, you can see that the iPhone SE is a smaller keyboard, and yeah, you just have to be able to adjust to that. For me, I would pick this one every time. It was kind of funny because, like, I actually handed this phone to a few of my friends and they actually use bigger phones, and I did the same thing. Is I grabbed it and wanted to use two hands with it. This is not a two-handed phone. This is a one-handed phone. It feels so much better and natural if you're just using it in one hand. And it's small enough too. Like, you can actually use this with one hand and just the thumb. I forgot about that. Like, I forgot how nice it was to just use your phone with one hand. I've been so used to the 6s Plus, which you can use one hand for some things, but for a lot of stuff, it's just easier to use two hands with it. I feel like it pretty much makes everything you do with the phone like a little bit easier to accomplish, just because, like, if I had my 6s Plus and I was trying to do something, I would be fumbling around to do it with one hand, or using both hands trying to do something. But with this, I could be doing something over here with this hand, and I've still got like easy access to everything on this phone. I can do it with one thumb. With doing that though, you are sacrificing the extra screen real estate you would get with the bigger phone, which personally I prefer the bigger phone over this 4-inch screen, just because it's more screen real estate. It's more stuff to look at, and it's just easier. It's easier to stare at a bigger phone than it is this little tiny one. I mean, I don't hate the screen size, but if I could choose a bigger phone, I'm gonna choose a bigger phone. Actually, using this phone in bed was probably my favorite thing about it, because with my 6s Plus, I can't tell you how many times I've dropped it on my face or just dropped my phone in general. But with the SE though, I'm not worried about dropping it at all, because it's so small and I can pretty much grip my hand all the way around it. Like, I'm not gonna drop this unless it just slipped out of my hand. And again, I can use it with one hand, so just laying there in bed, like, it was so much easier to use this. Also in your pocket, the SE is so much better because it's not gigantic and bulging out like a 6s Plus does. It just slides right in there. There's plenty of space. It's almost like I don't even have a phone in my pocket compared to the 6s Plus. Now, on the back of the iPhone SE, they did update the camera. It's now 12 megapixels, which is actually the same camera as you'll find in the iPhone 6s. The pictures from it look great, and it also has the 4K video option now, which I think if it didn't have that, like, there's probably no way I could go back to this phone if it didn't have that 4K camera, just because that's probably one of my favorite things about the iPhone, is the 4K video and just how good the camera is. But if you want to know what's the best camera option out of all the iPhones, you're going to go with the iPhone 6s Plus. The reason this is better, I've talked about this before in videos, is it actually has optic image stabilization. So when you're moving the phone around, the lens actually moves with the phone, and it stabilizes the video a lot better. Like, you'll seriously notice a difference in these two phones. This one just has electronic image stabilization, which is still good, and it's still a great camera, but if you want the best option, the 6s Plus is the way to go. Also in the iPhone SE, you'll find that they upgraded the specs and the chips inside, so it's actually the same chips and everything that you'll find in the iPhone 6s and the iPhone 6s Plus, so it's just as fast, just as snappy and quick as those. If you're upgrading to the iPhone SE from an iPhone 5 or 5s, you're going to notice a huge difference in speed and just overall performance. Everything will work better, it'll lag less, it'll freeze up less. I remember the last time I used the 5s, and pretty much just any time I've seen anybody use one, it seems super laggy and slow, like, especially compared to this phone. You're going to notice a huge difference. As much as I've enjoyed using the iPhone SE and switching back to a smaller phone, personally, again, I would go with the iPhone 6s Plus every time, just just because it's got the better camera, it's got the bigger screen, that 5.5-inch display. There's no question of which one I would choose over this. If you're trying to be productive and get stuff done on your phone, you're definitely going to want a bigger display rather than this 4-inch screen. But if you want something tiny, this is the phone for you. It's fast, it's up to speed, it's got a good camera, and it's still small with a great design. The iPhone 5S is still a great design. It would have been nice to see a newer design and some changes with it, but at the same time, I still love this design, and the rose gold is really nice. Now, if you can't make up your mind of which size iPhone you want, I would personally recommend the iPhone 6S because it's still a little bit bigger than the iPhone SE, but a little bit smaller than the iPhone 6S Plus, and it's just right there in the middle. It gives you more screen real estate. It's still a really thin, a really tiny phone, and yeah, it still fits in your hand. You can pretty much use this one mostly with one hand. Depending on what you're doing, it may be a little bit faster with two. But all right, so there you go. I hope you enjoyed my review on the iPhone SE. Let me know what you think about it. Any comments down below. Is it a phone you would get? Did you get it? And if you did, what are your thoughts on it? Do you like it, or do you like a bigger phone? Would you go for the smaller screen or the bigger one? Make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, so you don't miss any of my future videos. If you want to see more stuff like this on tech stuff and reviews and all that sorts of stuff, also add me on Snapchat, follow me on Twitter, Instagram. If you want to, you can actually open your Snapchat app up and point it to that little picture down there and then take a picture, and it'll immediately add me just like that. All right, thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.